Apples contribute greatly to Canada's horticulture sector, being the most fruit produced in terms of tonnage. Due to strong apple markets within Canada, this leads to no issues selling product. The constant change in consumer needs leads to the issue of growing and selling new products people may want. Because the consumer market is so large, Canada as a whole is unable to meet its own demands and therefore must import additional products from countries such as the States and Mexico. Due to a decrease in planting area, high-density plantings have increased in order for Canadian farmers to keep up with current demands. The global supply increase has led to a decrease in apple production within Canada, which leads to a declining domestic profit and economy. Overall, Canada's apple production has led to upwards of $188 million in 2014, which is a slightly lower profit than from previous years.
Canadian apples are grown in British Columbia, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia. Over 50,000 acres in Canada are dedicated to cultivating apples, and there are approximately 2,500 Canadian apple growers. The best climates for growing apples are warm summers followed by mild winters, as well as warm days and cool nights. It is ideal that apples are grown near large bodies of water that regulate temperatures and reduce late spring and early fall frosts, resulting in a longer growing season. Similarly to other fruit trees, apple trees are reproduced by grafting techniques, which means a branch from an existing apple tree is combined with a selected rootstock. The rootstock chosen by the farmer can dictate the winter hardiness, insect and disease resistance, soil preference, and the size of the harvest. In order to be more profitable, farmers must fit as many trees as possible on their acreage. Today, apple orchards have changed from larger, more spaced-out trees to higher-density orchards with dwarf trees. After being harvested, apples are sent to a packaging facility where they are examined and sorted. The apples go under a scanner to check for color, bruises, and physical deformities. They are then put into storage containers in rooms just above freezing, where they can be stored for up to months. After being stored, the apples undergo a final inspection, get tagged with a sticker, and are packaged by hand. The boxes are then carried to a shipping room until they are delivered to grocery stores. The most harmful effect of the apple industry in Canada is the environmental impact of transporting apples from orchard to grocery store. The smog, carbon monoxide, and other toxins produced by transport trucks is extremely harmful to the environment. Additionally, as the transportation distance increases, so does the need for more processing and refrigeration to reduce food spoilage. The packaging also used to transport apples to the grocery store is wasteful. Although pesticides are regulated under the Pest Control Products Act, the environment and consumer health are still harmed by the pesticides used on apples.
Alternatives already being implemented in Canada are switching apple varieties, focusing on domestic market rather than international apple markets, production improvements, and packaging more efficiently. Instead of using pesticides to spray plants in their early flowering life, Canadian farmers could instead spray them with an eco-friendly organic spray to help protect the crops while causing little to no harm to the environment and those around them. By switching the apple varieties grown and sold within Canada, we are able to ensure that bugs and animals have a greater chance at not contaminating, eating, or destructing the produce. By having a larger yield to be extracted, we are able to sell more products domestically, leading to a decrease in imported apples into Canada. Instead of extracting the apples one by one off the tree, a new technology could be made that lightly shakes or vibrates the tree enough for the apples to fall off effectively. At the bottom of this machine, there will be a spot for apples to land safely without being bruised or punctured by anything that may be laying on the ground. Overall, being more efficient and health conscious related to the extraction of apples would be greatly beneficial to apple markets within Canada. In order for apples to be sold in Canada, they must undergo many tests to be deemed sellable. The apple's grades, variety, picking method, and packaging are taken into account while in the process of selling. They are sorted by variety and then by picking method and are sold by packaging to ensure for easier and less space-consuming storage. The maturity and firmness of the apples are also taken into account because if the apples are too old and soft, they cannot be sold to customers in retail locations. The cleanliness and defects of the apples are also looked at while being deemed sellable. If apples are too dirty, they may be sent back to the company or farm where they came from and will be needed to be rewashed to be sold. Defects in apples will also make them unsellable to consumers and may be caused by certain extraction methods, storage, or growing conditions. Overall, apples have a large impact on Canada in relation to its imports and exports and undergo many procedures to make sure that they can be sold.